Good evening, everyone. Thanks for everyone who's hopped on so far. Just so everyone knows, we will get going here in just a couple minutes, so just a couple minutes past 5 to let a handful more people hop on. So looking forward to talking with everyone tonight. Awesome. All right, everyone. We will go ahead and get started. Looks like we have good group here so far. I'm sure more people will be joining us here in the next few minutes. Just 1 second, gotta just figure out my webcam here. But okay, you can still see me, but I can't see myself, so I can see my PowerPoint. So that works perfectly. So once again, welcome everyone to our second webinar in our Justice in July series. First off, I just want to say thank you all for participating in tonight's webinar. Looking forward to spending the time together to talk about what you can do to ensure the advancement of justice is a focus during recruitment. I spent a lot of time really thinking about what this is going to look like and really looking forward to sharing that with everyone. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Hayden Rahn. I am the Director of Chapter Development and Growth for the International Fraternity. I graduated from the University of Oregon in 2016. Immediately joined staff as a leadership consultant, spent a year as a consultant, and then transitioned into the expansion director role, where I oversaw all expansion for the fraternity, and then most recently into my current role as the director of chapter development and growth, where I oversee all fraternity growth, which includes expansion. Have been doing a lot over the past few months as it relates to recruitment and working with our undergraduate men on preparing for the summer and the fall with everything that is going on with this pandemic. So like I said, tonight we're going to be focusing on the advancement of justice and how that can be a focus during recruitment. So when I was thinking about this webinar and really what I wanted to talk about and share and help our undergraduate men know about how they can ensure that the advancement of justice is a focus, the first thing I thought of was Dakai Yupatheka. and justice our foundation. That is what Delta Upsilon is founded on. That is the foundation of the fraternity. It's our motto. In every single expansion meeting, I talk to students and potential new members about justice being our foundation, and one of our principles being the advancement of justice. And so being able to really focus on the fact that our founding and what we do as an organization and the values that we live is rooted in this idea of justice. And I needed to first remind myself that, and then I could really dive into what that looked like for recruitment. And so really wanting to just set the foundation here right now for this webinar, and remind everyone that that's our motto, and that's what we're founded on, and how do we then translate that to recruitment and make sure that we are recruiting the right individuals and making that a focus for them and setting that expectation so that they can join an organization that they know and can live those values and principles. So when it comes to advancing justice during recruitment, I really am going to talk through 4 areas as it relates to that, and 4 areas that I think can really help a chapter or colony and our undergraduate members focus their attention during recruitment for when they're talking with potential new members and building relationships with potential new members. I also want to remind everyone, and specifically our undergraduates on the call, some of which I know I've had conversations with over the past 2 months, that recruitment is a consistent effort. And so a lot of what we'll talk about here just doesn't have to happen within that formal IFC recruitment period. It has to happen throughout the entire year as you're recruiting potential new members into the organization. It has to be a focus every time that you're recruiting new members into the organization. And so the 4 areas that I'll cover and talk more about and why they translate well into the focus of the advancement of justice into recruitment is learning and understanding the advancement of justice, taking action. This is a great way to get PNM and PNMs or potential new members involved in making that a focus. I'm going to talk about how to talk about and show what advancing justice means and why that's important and how that can be a focus and ensuring that that's a focus with our potential new members. And then how are we asking intentional questions, and how are we being confident and comfortable in having healthy, mature, and respectful conversations centered around this idea of justice. So the first one that we'll talk about is to learn and understand. And really for me, before I think our undergraduates can recruit someone on this idea of advancing justice, they have to have the conversation and really learn and understand what the advancement of justice means to us. And when I say us, it's really you as an undergraduate, you as a chapter or colony. What does that mean, and how can I express that to a potential new member so that there's some substance to it? We'll talk a little bit here later in the slide about why that's important. What does that mean for you as an individual? What does that mean for the chapter and colony? What does that mean for the organization of Delta Upsilon? And so really diving in and having some of those discussions with chapter members, researching, educating yourself on what the advancement of justice means. And so I'm sure most of us on this call, if not all of us on this call, have thought through what that looks like for us, whether we are an undergraduate, an alumni, an advisor, a friend of the fraternity, whatever that case may be. And so I think understanding and learning that's really important as we move forward to ensuring that there's a focus of the advancement of justice or justice within the recruitment time period or recruiting potential new members. It's also important to learn and understand the injustices that are within the community and the society that we're living in, the community and the campus community, wherever your chapter or whatever campus your chapter is on, whether that's locally, regionally, or nationally, and what that looks like. And then what that will do is help you understand what the fraternity, in this case, the chapter or colony and its members, can do to go advance justice by fighting those injustices. This was something that was really important to me when I joined at the University of Oregon, wanting to learn and understand what those injustices were and being able to have some intentional conversations. And that translated a lot to my recruitment of potential new members as I was the vice president of recruitment, and then into helping just the chapter as a whole. once I became chapter president, really share that message of justice and making sure that's a focus, both in the membership, but also as we were talking to potential members, even our new members, whatever the case may be there. And so why is this important? How does this translate to making sure it's a focus when it comes to recruitment? Because the more that you, as an individual, as a chapter colony, understand how to advance justice, understand what those injustices are within the community and the society that we're living in, the more confident and comfortable that you can be talking with a potential new member. If you're not confident about it, if you don't feel like you understand it, a lot of the times you can find yourself just saying, yeah, here's our motto, Takai Yupatheka, Justice, our foundation. One of our principles, 4 founding principles, is the advancement of justice, and that's about the conversation, right? Maybe that you talk a little bit more about it, but this will allow for you to comfortably and confidently talk about what the advancement of justice means to you, have some intentional conversation, help the potential new member understand, joining the organization, you're going to live the advancement of justice, and we're going to live our values and live our principles, and we're going to put those into action. And so understanding that and learning what that means for you and the chapter colony really helps focus that attention on the potential new member and focus the idea of justice during the recruitment process. The next one is take action. This is where I think a lot of potential new members can get involved, and you can really focus on justice within the recruitment process here when you take action. So now that I know what the advancement of justice means to me, now that I understand where the injustices are, I can go start to take action. I can then have the opportunity to get potential new members involved in the action that we're taking to advance justice, whether it be on campus or within our community. I can invite that potential new member to events or speakers, or maybe the program that we put on. At Oregon, we had created a reading program for low-income youth within the community. And so we were able to not only talk about that, but then also invite potential new members and get them involved in that as well, to show them and make that a focus during our recruitment process, that justice is not only something that we say, it's not only a principle, but it's something that we are consistently doing as an organization of Delta Upsilon. It also provides a lot of healthy and intentional conversation and discussion within not only the chapter or colony, but also recruitment. You're able to talk about the event or speaker or program. You're able to really direct a lot of that conversation and hear what the potential new members' thoughts are, hear maybe what injustices they see within the community and how they can go advance that within the organization. And so being able to actually go out, take action, and invite potential new members to take action as well is a great way to start those healthy and intentional conversations. And I'll talk a little bit later in 2 slides about, well, what are some of those questions that we can ask to follow up with if we are taking action, or again, making sure that it's a focus during recruitment. So possible ways that the chapter or colony can take action. And like I said, this can either be during the formal IFC recruitment process. This can be year round. So remember, you are constantly recruiting, constantly building relationships. And so this is, if something doesn't happen during the week, couple days, 2-week recruitment process, which I will challenge our undergraduates who are on this webinar tonight or who are listening into the recording to really focus and see what can we do to take action during recruitment. But if it's not during recruitment and it's sometime after that, still remember that you can involve P&Ms and build those relationships and make that a focus. But ways you can do that: you can participate in a rally or a march. You can attend or host a campus speaker who talks about social injustice. Maybe it's racial injustice, political injustice, environmental injustice. Maybe it's injustice within the community. But being able to either invite a speaker into the chapter or colony meeting, or going and to an event or a speaker that another student organization or office on campus has put on. Showing up to events, maybe they're sponsored by our NPHC, MGC organizations on campus. Maybe they're sponsored by the University Office of Diversity and Inclusion or other handful of student organizations that are committed to fighting injustices, right? Or educating students on the community or the campus or what's happening in the world. Showing up to those events, that's taking action, that's showing support, but it's also a great way for you all as members to really understand build relationships. And so that's another way that you can take action that can translate well into making sure that it's focusing in recruitment. Reaching out to the Office of Diversity and Inclusion, MPHC or MGC organizations, other student organizations to see if they want to work, co-sponsor, at the very least building that good trusted partnership and relationship. It was really refreshing. A couple weeks ago, I was on a recruitment coaching phone call with one of our undergraduates, Vice President of Recruitment. We were talking about recruitment, and then we just got on the topic of just what's happening in the world today. And he brought up how he thought it was going to be important that the chapter and colony that they go out and reach out to student organizations, that they go reach out to MGC groups, NPHC groups, the Black Student Union, and try to build those partnerships and relationships, and the importance of understanding and showing that support there. And we were able to talk through that a little bit and what that relationship building looked like. And so that was just really a great conversation to have, and knowing that he's having that conversation in his mind, and then able to say, okay, how do we translate that to recruitment and talking through that with potential new members as well. One way that you could be advancing justice that you may not know you already are advancing justice, or maybe you're thinking about it, is creating a recruitment scholarship that P&Ms can apply for. Recruitment scholarship and being able to provide that money actually is advancing justice because it may be taking away a financial barrier that a potential new member might have. Maybe a potential new member wants to join, but they just can't for financial reasons. And so being able to say, hey, we have a scholarship for you, or we can talk about a payment plan with you on how we can make this financially feasible, is advancing justice and making that a focus for the student, knowing that there is that potential barrier there. So how do we break that down, and how do we make that process more fair and more just through the recruitment scholarship or payment plan options? Assist with voter registration drive. You can partner with a local community or other student organization to create a program that focuses on advancing justice in the community or on campus. So these are just a handful of ways that you can take action. I'm sure on your campus, in your chapter or colony, you've already done things or thought about things, or have asked individuals or other members, how else can we take action? So there are plenty of other ways you can do it. These are just a handful of things that came to mind as I was thinking about positive ways that you can take action. And again, how does this translate to recruitment? Not only can we invite potential new members and show them how to live the advancement of justice, but then when we're talking with a potential new member about justice, and justice being our foundation and the advancement of justice, we can talk now about the things that the chapter or colony is actually doing. And we just don't have to stop at, yes, it's a part of the organization, it's what we value, here's what it means to me, but it takes it a step further and it says, here's how we're living that. And here's the expectation for when you join membership, here's the expectation for you to live that value, and here's a way that you can do that. And that focuses the attention on this principle. It's just like the other principles, right? We have to make sure that we're living the promotion of friendship and the development of character and the diffusion of liberal culture. It's the same thing, right? We have to make sure we're living the advancement of justice to make sure that we can focus our conversations with the potential new member on this idea of justice, and make sure they know, if I join Delta Upsilon, the advancement of justice and justice being the foundation of the organization aren't just words and phrases, but they're calls to action to make sure that we're getting in the community and fighting the injustices that are within our community. And so that's really important here when we're talking about taking action, whether it be on campus or in the community. The next piece is, how do we talk about and show what advancing justice means? This is where I'm going to challenge our undergraduates and challenge our chapters and colonies to have these healthy, mature, and respectful conversations about justice and the importance of justice within the community, and what that foundation looks like. We look at also, it provides an opportunity for the P&M to open the door for questions and to learn and understand and ask questions, and also allows for the chapter to learn and understand and ask questions with the potential new member. We can't shy away from having these conversations because they are our values, and we need to talk about those, and we need to make sure that we're having those conversations and making that a focus. Additionally, showing P&Ms, and we talked about this through inviting them to events and speakers, through inviting them and allowing them to get experience and taking action, reinforces the advancement of justice. And justice, our foundation, as I said, aren't just words and phrases, but they're calls to action for our men to go out and fight the injustices on a daily basis. And then really what these do is both set the expectation that if a P&M were to join, that their experience will heavily involve the foundation and the principles of the organization, and that they will understand that I'm joining an organization knowing that I'm going to go out in the community and I'm going to have these conversations. I'm going to be the champion for justice. And so talking about that and showing is another great way to focus during recruitment on this idea and on this principle of justice and the foundation of justice as well. And then lastly is asking intentional questions. Another way that we can advance justice is by asking those intentional questions. Again, intentional questions focuses the conversation and discussion during recruitment. It allows for us to have and develop some discussion and conversation that's healthy and mature. It allows for there to be that conversation, but it also allows for you as a chapter colony to really think about what that looks like for you personally, but then also for the membership. Remember, these are questions, if you're going to ask, be ready to respond. And so being able to reflect and say, here's what the advancement of justice means to me, right? Some of those questions can be, what does the advancement of justice mean to you? What are injustices that you care about fighting, right? So you think of, or what are injustices that you care about fighting? Seeing where the potential new member is at and understanding or learning what that looks like for them. It focuses that conversation there. Have you done any work before in advancing justice, right? I meet students all the time on expansion who all I have to do is pose the question, and they will talk to me about the work that they're doing or what they're passionate about or what they hope to see change in the community. And all it takes for me is to ask that 18-year-old freshman, what does that look like, or what work have you done before, or what do you care about? What are things in the community in advancing justice that you care about? What did you think, right? Maybe we went to a speaker, maybe we hosted a speaker and a potential new member came. What did you think about that? What did you think about attending with us? Here's what I thought about it. Here's what a couple other members thought about it. What did you think about it? Let's have a discussion about that. Let's have a discussion about how that translates to the organization and to DU. Again, it's getting deeper, and it's allowing for that focus to be on justice. And it's not just saying, hey, show up to this event, show up to this speaker. Cool, did you enjoy it? Yeah, okay, I'll see you at next week's event, or I'll text you tonight. It's really following up and being intentional about what that looks like for that potential new member. And then the last one, good question that you could ask is, how do you think DU could help advance justice on the campus and in the community? Everyone's going to view campus and understand, and maybe they have connections here, or they see things in a different way or have a different perspective. And so being able to say, how can we help advance justice is going to get the P&M to start thinking about what that looks like for them, but then also might help the chapter colony to think about what it looks like for them specifically and what work they can do moving forward as an organization. And hopefully, if that potential new member is a good fit, with that potential new member involved in that as well. So focusing, again, those questions on justice and making sure that that's a focus during recruitment there, and that they're understanding the value and they're understanding how we're living that value, how the chapter colony is living that value, how they as a potential member can live that value if they were to join. I want to share, I'll move on to the next slide here, but before I really get into this quote, I'm sure most of us, if not all of us, know this quote. It's part of the ritual, but want to share a little, just a personal experience about how I saw my chapter advancing justice and how we were able to make that a focus within recruitment. And I was reflecting a lot and thinking back to my time as an undergraduate and thinking, was I doing what I'm talking about now? And really at the start, maybe I wasn't. maybe we were talking about it, we understood it, we could articulate it, but we definitely didn't focus on it. I think we saw a shift once we started focusing on it, on just member engagement and what that looked like to give back and advance justice within the community. So I mentioned earlier in the webinar how the Oregon chapter had created a reading program for low-income youth within Lane County, which is where the university is at. And this was something that we wanted to get involved with the community. We didn't really know how. We built a great relationship with our fraternity and sorority life office, talked with them about, hey, one of the ways we want to get back, we want to fight injustices, we want to live our values, we want to live our principles. This is right after I became president of the then Colony Eventually chapter. And there was a community member who actually reached out to the fraternity and sorority life office and said, I have this idea to create a reading program for low-income youth in the community, because when you look at, and he did his research and he learned about it, those individuals who are coming from low-income housing families, their reading rates or reading literacy rates were well below the other students within their class who are coming from better socioeconomic backgrounds. And so he wanted to find a group of individuals who could help him create this reading program. And we met with the community member. His name was Bill Starbuck, and we talked through and understood what that looked like. And I can clearly remember leaving the meeting that we talked with him, and myself and my chapter brother, Mitchell Parks, looked at each other and said, this is exactly what DU is about. It's exactly what we need to be doing to take action within the community. And so working with him, our College of Education and our St. Vincent of de Paul of Lane County, we were able to create this reading program. And so we were able to once a week go in and read to these youth for about 45 minutes to an hour. And what we realized was it brought to light a lot of more understanding of how we're advancing justice, but then we were also able to invite PNMs out to the reading program. We were able to talk about that. We were able to follow up with them. We were able to share what that looked like and that story with them. And as I was thinking about just my time, that was just something, especially as it related to the advancement of justice, that just really popped in my head right away. We went and we tried to learn and understand. We took action in that, and then we were able to share that and show the potential new members what that looked like. And then we were able to ask intentional questions and that follow up with them after maybe we've talked about it with them, or they showed up to a session with us. And so they were able to get a good grasp because we focused our attention in making sure they understood what the advancement of justice means and meant for Delta Upsilon if they were to join. And we got a handful of really, really good members to join the organization who were able to carry through and continue to have the advancement of justice as a piece for them, and understanding that they needed to live that value. And a lot of that was because we were able to focus so much during the recruitment process and what that looks like. So that's my little story. And I will transition back to the quote that's on the screen, which says, "The battles of justice are infinite, and her champions are ever needed to serve her cause." Our ritual tells us this, right? Justice is all throughout our ritual. And this is a quote that I think speaks very true to being able to ensure that we're recruiting the right men with the right focus. And when we can recruit those men who understand that the advancement of justice and that justice needs champions, and there's going to be injustices that we're going to need to fight well after, I was in school, well after you undergraduates who are on this call are in school. We need to remember that. We need to make sure that we're focusing our attention on ensuring that the members that we are recruiting during the recruitment process, during the relationship building, understand that that is what a focus needs to be when they become a member of the organization, because those battles are infinite and the champions are ever needed to serve her cause. And so if we're not focused on that, then members are going to join and they're not going to be focused on the advancement of justice. And so we may not have the champions that we need So being able to really focus on that and help them understand what that looks like can, again, once I leave or once you leave, it can make sure that there's still champions there to fight those injustices, to make sure that we're advancing justice within our community. So I'll open it up for questions. So if you have any questions, go ahead and you can put it in the box here. I'll kind of wait a few minutes to see if anyone has anything. Yeah, so I think another piece here that in my that I just remembered and thought of and was reminded of was that we actually are able to we through our membership outcomes assessments collect data as it relates to justice and what our chapters are doing to advance justice within their communities and on their campus and their views on justice. And so that's able to tell our chapters if they're doing well in advancing justice, or that's a focus within the chapter or colony, that we're able to share that within our recruitment process. And again, just another step of saying we're not only, this isn't just a word or a phrase or our motto or a principle, but it's actually something that we're living and continuously learning about and continuously advancing within our communities there. All right. So it doesn't seem like there's any other questions. So I'm going to go ahead and move on here. So that's really the end of my webinar. It was roughly about 30 minutes. I know there's a lot that we can talk about. So if you do want to continue the conversation, or if you have any questions, I'll go ahead and put up my email on the next slide. But I do want to plug our next Justice in July webinar in case you are interested. The next one is this upcoming Monday, July 15th at 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. That's actually Wednesday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 8 p.m. If you want to, that will be a vision for a world without poverty. That's presented by a DU alumnus, Mark Borgell, from our Northwestern chapter. He's the founder and executive director of A Wider Circle. To find more information out about Wider Circle or to register, just go ahead and go to www.deltu.org/justiceinjuly, and you can register for that there. You may have already been registered or been receiving emails or information about that, but do want to make sure that everyone on this call is aware that that will be next week as we continue our Justice in July series. And then just want to say thank you. Really appreciate you all taking the time tonight to listen in, and just want to remind everyone that especially our undergraduates who are out there recruiting potential new members or advisors who are working with our undergraduates, that we need to ensure that we're focusing on the advancement of justice within recruitment, that we're having those conversations, we're having those intentional conversations, and we're taking action and hopefully able to involve PNMs in that action as well. Again, whether it be an event, a speaker, whatever the case may be there. So if you did have any questions or anything comes up, there, feel free to email me. My email is Rahn, R-A-H-N, @deltu.org. But again, I really appreciate everything that you all are continuing to do in support of Delta Upsilon. And I hope you all have a great Thursday night. And again, I hope everyone has a great one. Actually got one more question. Sorry about that, Brian. Just saw it come in. So before we get in, so Brian Chung from our Carthage chapter asked, can you provide examples of the recruitment scholarship? Yeah, Brian, that's a great question. Chapters do it in a lot of different ways. A lot of the times, they can have, so some examples that you can see are they're having scholarships for potential new members based off maybe need-based scholarship, so they can apply if they need some financial assistance, and then a committee of undergraduates and potentially alumni go through that selection and interview process. There might be a scholarship for all potential new members or all male students at the university that they can apply for and go through that interview process. I think really the idea of the recruitment scholarship, and Brian, if you want to talk more about this, feel free to shoot me an email and we can talk a little bit more about what that looks like. But really the idea of the recruitment scholarship is to provide some of that financial assistance to members or potential members who might need that, again, to break down that barrier there, that financial barrier that might exist for them joining the organization. So again, Brian, sorry, I just saw that as I was closing out there, but great question. And again, if you want to talk more about that, feel free to shoot me an email. Happy to set up a phone call to talk through more of the recruitment scholarship piece. Awesome. So again, appreciate everyone's time. Want to thank everyone for participating. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to email me. And I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of their Thursday evening and a great weekend. And hopefully are able to join us for our next Justice in July webinar next week. So good night, everyone. Really appreciate it. Talk to you all soon.